I remember when I first pitched Whose Is That Dog to Channel 4, they told me to get out and never come back. But I was persistent. I came back again and again and again. And eventually they said, fine, we'll produce Whose Is That Dog, but we want nothing to do with it. You make it good. It's on your own. And I thought, this could be the challenge of my career. I've always wanted to make a game show like that. But ITV, they said no. BBC, of course, got a restraining order against them, so I can't really get anywhere near the offices anymore. But Channel 4, they're a different breed of Channel 4. They let you do things that you just can't in other places, which is nice. And of course, Channel 5 is a wasteland. It's the outlands of television. You don't go near Channel 5 here. Weird practices. Weird practices. But whose is that dog? Well, the idea was that we'd get a dog. And we'd get a bunch of people. And you'd have to guess whose is the dog. But that didn't go to plan. That didn't go to plan. We just couldn't get the people through. It didn't do well on the pilot ratings. So we thought, fair enough. Let's make it into something like a force for good. So we got a bunch of dogs that we just found on the street that we didn't know whose the owners were. No one knew who the owners were. Of course, you couldn't have chips back in those days. And we put them in the studio, and we used to say, "Whose is that dog?" We got everyone to shout, "Whose is that dog?" And the camera would just train on the dog until someone phoned in and went, "Oh, that's my dog actually. Sorry, I've left him outside." But of course that didn't work. No one wanted to claim the dogs. So we got the runners with a big old white van. We used to go around gardens of middle class districts, places we know had a good telly, and just take the dogs from gardens. And so round them up and then put them in studio. That way we know when we said, "Whose is that dog?" and trace the camera on my dog, someone would go, "Oh my God, that's my dog. That's my dog." And that's what happened for about a season or two. The ratings were good. Everyone was like, "Wow, how does this keep happening? Magic." Of course, by season 3, Channel 4 cottoned on a little bit. To get the dogs we need to produce the amount of shows we did, we had to get about 10 vans in circulation, about 30 runners. We had to get nets, we had to get the drugs to drug the dogs. It was a huge operation. It ended up costing more than 𝐂𝐈𝐿𝐼. Ended up costing more than most of their general sort of catering operations they did sort of for the productions of the show. And sort of the man who owned Channel 4 at the time, I think his name was Danny Camera. He came up to me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, we're making some good television. Don't you mind how we're doing it?" And he said, "Well, it's costing about 3 to 4 million an episode." Well, of course, the costs were that much because we had to drive quite far and wide. There's only so many dogs in so many places. You can't get the same dog over and over again. So we had to go to eventually other places. Had to go to Spain. Then we had to fly the dogs back. Japan we did an episode on, which was nice. Nice place, nice country, Japan. But that's kind of what we had going on, which was a shame, you know. It cost so much because I think the idea was really good, but again, like most of the programming, a bit ahead of its time. You do something like that now, I think it'll fly. I think it'll fly. Sure, that's got legs, you see. Everyone loves dogs. Everyone loves seeing dogs reunited. And you know, when we were training the cameras on the dogs for the first 5 to 6 hours before someone realised they were missing and someone phoned them to say, "Is that your dog on the television?" You know, you'd see the dog doing all sorts. Dogs would play with each other, and it was nice. Community television. That's what it was. They just don't make him like that anymore. They just don't make him like that anymore. It's a shame. It's a shame.